Welcome to the Rap Soul Podcast, where we dive deep into the world of music that moves our hearts and gets our feet tapping. This is the intersection of rap and soul music from the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. We appreciate you for listening. Share this podcast with a friend or family member who loves music as much as you do. The podcast is hosted by 12 Kyle. Next up, the Rap Soul Podcast.
This whole neo-soul phrase.
Yes.
Did you ever, I mean, it's a slight digression, but did you ever embrace that? What did you think of that phrase?
I never embraced it. Never.
Okay.
Because first of all, because when I first came out and
Right.
people would ask me, and this is when, R&B was, the word, use R&B, not even rhythm and blues, but R&B. And, or New Jack Swing was dying, was fizzling out. So when I first came out, everyone would ask me, so what do you do? And I would say soul. I say soul music. Not neo-soul, but soul, And I was like, soul, it's like either you got it or you don't. It's not, how can it be? And I hear you with the whole today's generation of it, but to me that's separative. And also, it puts us in the box. It puts us right back in the box that we were trying to get out of in the first place. So I never dug it.
Welcome to another edition of the Rap Soul Podcast. I am your boy 12 Kyle. I want to thank you all for tuning in as you do each and every week. Again, this is the Rap Soul Podcast. This is the intersection where we have discussions about music and artists from the 80s, the 90s, and the 2000s when it comes to rap, hip-hop, soul, and R&B. Simply put, folks, this is the best music podcast that you have never heard until right now. Again, I want to thank you all for tuning in. Shout out to those of you who are watching on YouTube as well as Spotify. All right, check this out. So the voice that you just heard is that from the late, great Michael Archer, a.k.a. D'Angelo. May he continue to rest in peace. D'Angelo describes his thoughts and emotions about being in the box labeled neo-soul. And you can make a case that probably since D'Angelo burst onto the scene in 1995 with his debut album, Brown Sugar, that he's been in that box, neo-soul. But it got me to thinking, like, what exactly is neo-soul? And, D'Angelo, much like many other artists, probably didn't have any other choice but to accept that label. But as you can tell, he wasn't a fan of it. Someone else who wasn't a fan of it was Raphael Saadiq. Many of you know Raphael Saadiq, music producer, also artist, mostly known from the group Tony, as well as a solo artist. Raphael Saadiq recently made some headlines when he spoke out about neo-soul as well. And I'll read you a quote. Quote, Raphael Saadiq, D'Angelo, and Maxwell are not neo-soul artists. Sorry, but that's the truth. Neo-soul was a term created by one black executive purely as shorthand. It helps labels intentionally identify which acts will not require crossover marketing budgets. Those funds were reserved for pop boy bands. That term neo-soul signaled to executives in marketing meetings that these black artists might not sell 100, they might sell 150,000 to 300,000, maybe 500,000 if they're really good, and at best 1 million. It had nothing to do with the sound of music. Hip hop, unlike neo-soul, was created by the people. Close quote. And he makes a valid point. And I'll be honest, I think we all embrace the term neo-soul without necessarily giving any thought or creed to the artists in which it described. So I did a little research and did a little digging, and I found that the term neo-soul did indeed come from a label executive, a guy by the name of Kedar Massenberg, who actually used to manage artists like Erykah Badu and D'Angelo. And so what I found also was that there's been some pushback, and there always has been some pushback. Scratch that. There's always been some pushback about that term, and I get it. And so it led me to the question, what is neo soul? And I'll be honest, I really don't have a great answer for what it is. I just know, like, the music from the artists that were labeled neo soul artists, you just feel their music. Like, it's a different type of music. It's soul music, and it's really music that touches your soul, to be honest. It's not like R&B. R&B is rhythm and blues. Rhythm and blues is different from soul music, and I'm not comparing the two, but there are very slight and sometimes very subtle differences between the two. When you think of artists like D'Angelo, Raphael Saadiq, Maxwell, Jill Scott, Erykah Badu, Lauryn Hill, Music Soul Child, Angie Stone, rest in peace, India.Arie, Marsha Ambrosius, the list goes on and on. A lot of times they're labeled as neo soul artists, but are they really? They're really more soul artists, and their music is soulful. And I think somehow along the way we lost that context of it. You can listen to any Jill Scott album. It doesn't sound like what you normally hear from other artists. I mean, her most recent album at the time of this recording, it is a beautifully crafted album. It's a feel-good album. The album moves you. It moves your emotion. It moves your body. And it moves you to thought. You know, I can't necessarily say that you're going to get that type of reaction or feeling if you turn on your local radio station and listen to whatever R&B that's being played or soul music that's being played. And I'll be the first to admit, I don't listen to the radio. I literally have not listened to terrestrial radio probably in the better part of the last 20 years. And there's no need to. I mean, at least for me, because the music that they play doesn't cater to me or doesn't appeal to me at all. But it does, lend to the question, again, what is neo soul? And then when you start looking at some of the artists, how do they compare or contrast? Like, for instance, what makes Usher different from Bilal? I mean, like, they both sing with passion. They both sing about love and emotions, but a Bilal record and an Usher record are two different records. And I know they're in different tiers as far as, Usher did the Super Bowl, for Christ's sake. I mean, like, no disrespect, but Bilal's probably never going to do the Super Bowl unless he's performing with somebody at the Super Bowl. That being said, you could probably enjoy a Bilal album a little bit more when it comes to soul music than you would an Usher album. Again, when it comes to soul, but Usher is going to make that R&B music. It's going to bop, it's going to hit, but there's also going to be a pop feel to it as well. There's going to be something that made for the charts. There's going to be a song like Yeah with Lil Jon and Ludacris on it. Bilal probably is not going to make that kind of music. But he's still going to make a dope album, right? You look at artists like, I'll use Anthony Hamilton and Maxwell. I would say that they're probably closer, probably a closer comparison. Not saying they're the same, but they're probably a closer comparison when it comes to this type of soul music. I mean, just really, really good music that you feel within your body and within your being. When I think about soul music and I think about D'Angelo and, his untimely passing, one of the things that I remember seeing, I think it was was it Rolling Stone? I can't remember if it was Rolling Stone magazine or there was some national publication, but when D'Angelo passed, the title of their article was something to the effect of The Last Soul Man. And it fit. I mean, he was the definition of soul. He was soul, but he was also funk. He was also hip hop. D'Angelo's music had a lot of different influences, a lot of gospel too. I mean, like, you go listen to his albums, and we talked about it on his album reviews. for both Brown Sugar and Voodoo, there's a lot of gospel influence there. And you could tell he's someone who, grew up in the church. And so I think soul music can be sometimes hard to be defined. But when I think about somebody like D'Angelo, I ask myself, what's the difference between D'Angelo's music and the music that I grew up on, like Marvin Gaye? Both soul music artists, but different realms. And I felt something different from Marvin's music than I do D'Angelo's. There was a deeper connection, at least for me, with D'Angelo's music than it is Marvin. Not saying one's better than the other, but it's just different, right? And so, but I still enjoy them the same. And it goes back to the question, what is soul music? And more specifically, what is neo soul music? And is there a definition? And I would be interested to hear, in 2026, what Kedar Massenberg thinks of neo soul music, because we're constantly putting artists into that neo soul box. And, quite honestly, it's probably not fair to them to be in that box because their music is universal and there's no definition for soul music. I mean, like, again, you go back to the radio, how love is explained and in a song and how love is explained in a song with a neo soul artist, two different things. Because if you listen to the music on the radio, it's probably closer to being about sex. And if you listen to neo soul music, it's probably more closer to being about love. There's a difference. I don't think I need to tell you the difference between sex and love. But if I do, shoot me a DM. But again, it goes back to the question, what is neo soul? And again, I don't have a great answer for it, but the thing that I will say is that the artists that are thrown into the bucket of neo soul, it's soul music. Let's just call it what it is. It is soul music. It is pure and uncut raw soul music. It's stripped down. It is beautiful to me. Like I said, from India.Arie to Jill Scott, Erykah Badu, the list goes on and on. Pure soul music. And at the end of the day, soul music is the music that you feel and how it speaks to you. So by definition, neo soul may not ever be able to be defined. But soul music is just that. It's music that you feel and how it speaks to you. And for that, for some, doesn't need any type of definition. It clearly defines itself. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for me. Thanks again for checking out this edition of the Rap Soul Podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast. We drop new episodes every Thursday. Also, don't forget about the sister station, the main station, the flagship station, the 12 Kyle Podcast. We drop new episodes there on every Thursday as well. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for me. Thanks again for checking out this edition of the Rap Soul Podcast. I am your boy 12 Kyle. I'll catch you guys next time. 5,000. See ya.
Thank you for listening. This concludes the episode. Be sure to subscribe to the Rap Soul Podcast. You can find the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Follow the podcast on social media. And feel free to continue this discussion on our Reddit page. More importantly, share this podcast with a friend or family member who loves music as much as you do. Until next time, 5,000.